Oh, we got Xavier too. Oh, let's rock and roll. Hey, Martin, do we have anybody coming on today?
WTUG HD2 Northport and W265CG Tuscaloosa. A Town Square media station.
One man to beat, you can forget about it. Touchdown, Alabama.
Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 HD2 Northport. W265CG Tuscaloosa. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Alabama 1st and 10 on the 12. Again, Houston. He's got a hole. He's over. Alabama touchdown.
I'm just wondering if your listeners know how good a football player you were. I can still see you playing that fullback, knocking those players out of the way. And that, I believe I could have run behind you.
Martin, I can remember when we came to summer and you were playing fullback up there. And I saw you in the weight room and watched you work out in the weight room. If you were strong enough to pick up the whole weight room. I wanted to fix it, and our running back coach didn't take it. biggest mistake we ever made.
The Martin Houston Show with national championship winning fullback Martin Houston, giving you 1 hour of intense, hard-hitting analysis from an insider's perspective. It's time for the Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports, Tide 100.9, and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Good morning. Welcome into the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier on Tide 100.9. We're live on the radio dial, Tide 100.9, but also on Facebook at Martin Houston 35 on YouTube and Twitter, and the Martin Houston on Facebook. Live, local, and ready to get things going. You're able to get into the conversation at 205-342-9904, 205-342-9904. That's the Alabama One hotline, which is open for business. Let me hear from you. Or you can always chat us up on Facebook. Like, share, follow, donate for support of the live stream. All of those can be found and accessed on our Facebook page at Martin Houston 35. Remember that this is a day that the Lord has made. Let's rejoice and be glad in it. Take some time today to notice someone, love someone, serve someone, be the difference you want to see in the world today. Got some obvious conversation we'll get to in just a moment, but want to remind you that we do have spring ball just around the corner. This time next week, we'll be talking about day one of that. So that is up for the day. We can have a coach of the day conversation that will spread throughout this week. If you're the coach for the Alabama Crimson Tide, what would be your top 1, 2, 3 goals for the spring? Know if you saw it or not. Governor Greg Abbott predicting a Texas win, throwing a shot at Texas native Jalen Milroe. I guess it's a compliment and a shot at the same time, saying he's seen a peep at the guy that's going to replace Bryce Young, and he's no Bryce Young, talking about Jalen Milroe. So we can talk about that, whether you think the governor should get into politics. Ask the Philadelphia, it was not the Philadelphia Eagles, but the Cincinnati Bengals mayor, how that worked out for him when he made comments about Mahomes in the playoffs for the NFL. We can talk about that. Of course, I know I'm teasing you. All of you are like, okay, what is he waiting on to talk about? Alabama hoops. Well, hey, we're going to talk about it this week, all week, and hopefully we're going to talk about it for the next 3 weeks. As Alabama hoops reaches new heights, number 1 seed for the first time ever, but not just number 1. They did it in style, number 1 overall seed, playing in Birmingham. I guess that's good and bad. undefeated up in Nashville, not so good in Birmingham. Will they will they kick their Birmingham woes as they will be taking on the winner of the 16 play-in game in Alabama, expected to advance at least one round and then be taking on the 8 and 9 winner. So we'll talk about that conversation for the remainder of the day. But you're always welcome to bring it up whenever you're going to get to it. Once again, by calling 205-342-9904. Other topics, we can make a quick jaunt around the Capstone as Alabama baseball loses their first series of the season. Also, you have AJ McCarron, former Alabama guy, doing a little old school Bama with the XFL St. Louis Battle Hawks. AJ setting records, man, and his team moving to 3-1. So we can talk about that conversation. Deron Payne is a very, very wealthy man today. $90 million, $60 million guaranteed. Whew. Boy, these boys pulling it in. Also, a neat thing that happened for the first time. I got a text over the weekend asking me if I would like to buy Alabama championship gear, X, and support the NIL initiative of the players. Part of what I would pay for that that SEC championship gear, if I click the link, would go toward a player. So first time I got one of those. Thought that was a neat change in the sport that I'm happy has happened. And then last but definitely not least, we can knock out whatever you guys want to get to with the conversation around anything on the Capstone, anything on the hoops, basketball, coordinators and his team. Oh, yeah, I forgot. SEC tournament champions 2 times in 3 years, second time in 4 years. So I got a question I'm throwing out there. I put it up on Twitter last night. We've been kind of tracking Nate Oates and saying, hey, he's doing similar stuff to Saban. At this point, what does Nate Oates need to do in year 4 to match Nick Saban's 4-year accomplishments? Nick Saban had won a national championship by the end of this time, but does he have to win a natty to match Nick Saban? Does he have to get at least one win in the Final Four? Does he have to make the Final Four, or nothing he already has to match what Nick Saban has done? So that question is out there. If you want to talk about it, 205-342-9904. Good morning, X. How you doing, sir?
Good morning. Doing well. How are you?
Doing well. Man, lots of questions, and as we've run around the Capstone, I did forget. Congratulations to Christy Curry and her team making it into the tournament as well. But man, what about overall? I mean, there's so much, like I said, to talk about this week, but the Bama basketball program hitting new strides, slowly getting back to that Alabama team that we saw, and then ending Saturday looking like the Bama team that we were hoping to see as the March Madness kicks off.
Man, it was a fun weekend of basketball to watch. That semifinal game was a little tough and had me a little worried, but I saw somebody actually tweet out after the game on Saturday that JQ is going to have a great game on Sunday after a pretty bad performance on Saturday, and that's what he did. But once again, Brandon Miller, just Mr. Consistent, Mr. Get it done in every way possible. Back-to-back double doubles. Didn't have the greatest shooting performance yesterday, but did a lot of the small things the right way. 22 points, 12 rebounds. I think it was 5 assists. Just great overall play. And a guy who doesn't get talked about a lot, Charles Bediako, huge game yesterday. 12 points, 13 rebounds, 5 blocks. This team just found ways to win, no matter if the shot was falling or not. There were moments where it looked better. There was moments where it looked worse, but Alabama was able to complete the sweep of the double SEC champions.
Yeah, when you look at this basketball team, Mississippi State, I predicted the Mississippi State game would not be close. I predicted that they would, eventually hit their stride against this team and kind of do what they did. For a while there, it was an interesting game where no one scored, I think, for about 7 minutes. But it's going to be interesting to see as they move along what all makes this team tick, because none of them shot great in the Mississippi State game, but Q was played well. Uh, and then Brandon, he's gonna get 18 to 20-ish every game. Keep right around his average, and the better the competition, the better he seems to play. And then Mizzou, tough game, tough out. I thought was good for Alabama to have a couple tough outs in the tournament X, and then just you look at I I don't not Jake, but Brandon Miller, man. It's like if he touches someone, those SEC officials, to me, I don't complain much about officials, but it's like they want to interject themselves into games. Or is that just me? Call me up if I'm wrong. But it seems like they just want to interject themselves into games, especially in the Alabama game. It seemed like they were just calling some petty stuff. But what a job by in game 2 against Mizzou X, Brandon Miller playing 18 plus minutes with 3 fouls and not picking up another foul, playing smart defense, playing smart offense. And then yesterday, I mean, he ended up with 22x, and but he set out half the first half. It was interesting. I don't know if you saw this. Nate Oates normally says the following: analytics. He says he normally doesn't sit a guy out with 2 fouls just because the analytics don't say that. Well, day 2 against Mizzou, he set him out, and then he got a quick foul in the third. In the second half. And then yesterday, he didn't set him out, and he picked up a third one. And so you think about this Alabama team against Texas A&M on a neutral site court. Miller and Clowney both missed the equivalent of over probably a half of basketball, if you add up all their minutes total. Sears did not have a great game, and I think Sears is going to have to play well, better than he's been playing. I will say he hit his first 3 yesterday, and it looked like Bama. He seems to take the first 1, 2, 3 shots of every game, and if he's on, it seems like Alabama's on. But he's going to have to play better for this team to make a run. Bediako is going to have to continue to play like he did. But you watch what everybody did yesterday. I mean, everybody had to step up yesterday. I mean, because 2 of your best players were on the bench the first half, the second part of the first half, and they still were able to do what they did. And I think the game changer yesterday was Bediako. In the first game, they got floaters, they got runners, they got to the rim, and they were either fouled or went in. Neither one of those went yesterday as a whole. But we'll get the break after this, X. But do you know at halftime, though, they had, I think, was it 23 points or 21? I can't remember exactly, but I'll look it up real quick. But over half their points, I think it was 20, 23. Huh?
Free throw line.
Yeah, from the free throw line. I mean, that the Alabama team just played lights out. Their defense is, and I don't think they get enough credit for being as good a defense as they are because they're such a good offensive team. So, we got lots of comments coming in on chat, so we'll work those into the conversation on the other side. We also have the phone lines open if you want to get in on that conversation. 205-342-9904. Big question we're asking right now is what does Nate Oates need to do in year 4 of men's hoops to match what Nick Saban did in his first 4 years at Alabama? Has he already reached it? Does he need to win a natty? Does Alabama basketball need to go somewhere it's never been for a coach to equal what Nick Saban did in his first 4? Or if they win at least one game in the Final Four, or just taking this program to the Final Four, is that enough to say that Nate Oates is building a basketball program and taking it to new heights? Let's talk about it right here on the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier on Tide 100.9.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
From the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center, no active wrecks, but roadwork on 2059 eastbound at the Foster's exit number 62 is causing some delays. If you see other conditions, please give me a call. Townsend Nissan is loaded with new and used vehicles, all at great prices. Go check them out today. Townsend Nissan. I'm Captain Ray.
When you or your family is in a car accident and injured, I've experienced it firsthand, and I highly recommend Stephen Mesrano, Mesrano Law. Call now, 205-800-8000, 205-800-8000.
Hey, y'all, I'm Steve Azar, inviting you to escape to Pearl River Resort, where the fun is going nonstop. Enjoy gaming excitement and catch the thrill of the big win. After the thrills, test your skills at the Dancing Rabbit Golf Club. There's dining delight and love at first sight. And it's always no work and all play at Silver Star and Golden Moon Casinos. So come on, leave it all behind and head to Pearl River Resort.
It's the Tuscaloosa Community Calendar, powered by Pepsi.
The Alabama One Aspire Foundation is offering free American Red Cross first aid and CPR training classes to the West Alabama community. The plan is to have at least 60 people certified by year end. All instructors are American Red Cross staff, and all materials are provided. Lunch will also be provided. Please join us as we learn to save a life, one compression at a time. Get details at alabamaonefoundation.org/CPR.
Still overpaying for a razor? In this economy? Gross. At Dollar Shave Club, you can get a top shelf shave at a regular shelf price. We've been hawking shaving products for years online, and we're excited to bring you the same great quality and low prices at a store near you. From high-quality stainless steel blades to super smooth shave creams, Dollar Shave Club's in the business of making your shave easier. Find Dollar Shave Club in the men's razor aisle. Getting your Dollar Shave Club razor wherever you want. Isn't that great?
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
Breezy and cooler today with a good supply of sunshine, the high at 59. Tonight, the chance of a late season freeze, clear with a low at 32. Tomorrow and Wednesday, the sky's sunny both days. The high tomorrow at 56, the high Wednesday at 60. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 40 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
Scott Smith and Softmark Design, doing business for 17 plus years, specializing in graphic design services, commercial printing, promotional products, advertising specialties, and so much more. Basically, any and everything you would need to advertise, promote, and grow your business. Through strong partnerships, strong customer service, and creative ideas, they'll help you market and grow your business. Give Scott a call at 205-292-4680 or email scottis@comcast.net and visit them online at softmarkdesign.com.
It's time for the Martin Houston Show. With the same hard-hitting, no-nonsense approach in which he played the game, Martin will take you inside the locker room, down on the field, and across the goal line with his in-depth analysis.
Welcome back in. We're back in with the Martin Houston Show. Check out Taco Casa, quality, taste, value, and the biggest cactus in town. Taco Casa, tacocasa.com. locations spread throughout West Alabama, one in Birmingham to better serve you. Go check them out. That's Taco Casa, tacocasa.com. All right. Couple questions being asked about technicals and Clowney's play and all of that. And Virgil Williams was asking what were the technical files for X, and they say that JQ was talking, and I don't know what he said, supposedly said, but to me that was one of those refs inserting themselves into the game. And because here's what's funny to me. I'm trying to figure out what he said, because I don't know if anybody else has picked up on it, but it is absolutely amazing to me that every replay that they show now always zooms in on the guy's face when they're cussing. And hey, listen, I understand. Hey, it's 2023. I get that. People tell me that, man, all of that. But every replay, every time they're going to a break, every time there's a guy on the court or whatever, it's MF this, it's F this, it's all of these. And I'm like, of all the plays, unless every player, every time they did. And so I'm trying to figure out, what did JQ say that was so bad that they got a tech for, when the television broadcast clearly shows that players are cussing. And I guess he must have said it to them, X. I don't know what Nate Oates did. And then the first foul, the first charge by Brandon Miller was an anticipation call. A 6'9" guy driving to the hole, X, with the ball, slips by the guy, he flops, and they call because it looked like it was going to be a charge, but he didn't charge. But the official had already made up his mind, I guess. And then the dual call, and I'm gonna move off officials after this. The dual call on Clowney that got him his fourth foul. If a guy grabs your arm as you're getting ready to go up, your natural instincts is either to flail your arms or tighten your arm, and then he ends up getting called for the foul. But it was several really, really, you're like, wow, these guys are horrible. Any thoughts on the officials before we move on to the Nate Oates conversation?
Yeah, I was watching the game, and kind of actually missed both of the calls, but it was one of those interesting games where some things.
Hold on. Hey, you didn't miss the call. They never showed anything. They literally there was never a replay that showed unless I was watching, I don't remember seeing anything. Like, usually they go back and say, okay, this is where it happened. I don't remember them going back and showing JQ saying or doing anything. So if he did, it was a talking thing, but it was off and there was no camera anywhere on him at that time. And then I don't remember him going back showing Nate Oates. So and somebody said, well, he was outside of the box, and that's an automatic tech. Okay. They could call that so many times, it's not even funny. Because I know one time when we played Texas A&M over in Texas A&M in College Station, Buzz was out on the court. When they called that timeout and the ball was thrown out of bounds, he was literally out on the court. You see what I'm saying? So it's a lot of stuff like that. Go ahead.
Yeah, I didn't really see what it was called, but there were some questionable calls throughout the course of that game, and it's almost like, do the refs have an agenda? But I'm not going to go that far.
Yeah, well, it makes zero sense that they would have an agenda against Alabama, but I may have crimson color glasses, but Alabama does not seem to get as much love as you would think, because let's be real, basketball is always you get some home cooking, but on neutral site maybe not so much. But Alabama, I don't know if they wanted to try to ensure that Texas A&M got, kept the game close to get a better seed, which makes no sense that Kentucky got a higher seed than A&M in the tournament. Vanderbilt not in at all. It was several of those. And this is on another note. NC State got in X and Clemson didn't. They had the same record. And NC State, they say Westcott had a little stronger schedule, I think, a little higher net rating. But Clemson beat NC State 3 times head-to-head by over 20 twice and double digits the other time. Could you imagine sitting at home right now if you're the Clemson Tigers? I don't know if either one of them necessarily deserve to be in, but that has to sting a little bit, even though that's not an Alabama-based thing. Let's circle back to the Nate Oates conversation. Do you think Nate Oates needs to do anything else to match what Nick Saban has done so far? 2 SEC tournaments, championships, SEC regular season championships, and number 1 overall seed. Has he matched it, or does he have to do something in March Madness? And if so, what?
I think he has to do something inside of the tournament. In my opinion, with basketball the way that it is, it's not as cut and dry to get to the national championship as it is in football. So I think we have to go somewhere we've never been before, and that's the Final Four. So I think if Nate Oates gets this Alabama team to the Final Four, doing something that's never been done in the history of the program, then you can kind of have that conversation. But until then, I don't think you can say that he has done as much. Granted, he has won the SEC twice in the regular season and the tournament, which is only something that's been done a handful of times at Alabama basketball, period. But just getting to somewhere we've never been before is what would solidify it for me.
What about you, Abe?
Yeah, I'm with X. There's a lot of parity in college basketball compared to college football. Yeah, getting to the Final Four for me is enough to say, like, yeah, maybe like Nick Saban's the GOAT of college football, but like for this sport at our school, he's on that level. He's on that level of significance.
Yeah, watch this, guys. Is this not exactly where Nick Saban missed out last year? If you really thought about it, if they took the top 4 teams, what would Alabama be playing for right now?
National championship.
You see what I'm saying? So sometimes I know it that they haven't got there on the court, but Alabama's never been here. Alabama basketball has never been where they were considered the top 4. And that's all Nick Saban has to do to get a chance to win a national championship. Right? Nick Saban gets Alabama to the Final Four now. If you go back to any time in college football history of all Alabama national titles, this is the level that football has had to get to, right? And I know it's different because you still have to play it out in basketball. But the reality of it is he has already taken Alabama where it's never been. Alabama has never been considered one of the best 4 teams in basketball. Alabama has never been considered at the beginning of a tournament the best team in the land. After a regular season, I mean, start thinking about what he's done. He's won 2. Now, are we going to be satisfied if we don't make it to Elite 8, Final Four, national championship? Absolutely not. But that's not the question I'm asking right now. The question I'm not asking the question, what will be a satisfying? That'll be for tomorrow or maybe the second half of this show. Not asking what does he have to do to get there. Has he already taken this program in 4 years somewhere it's never been? And you see what I'm saying? Like think about that for a second. Let's go ahead and get the break, and I'm gonna give you a chance to respond and rebuttal. I'm not ready to say he's already done it because Nick Saban took us to the national title, right? But what number national title was that? What Nick Saban's first national title in year what? 3, 2009?
Yeah, it was number 13.
Number 13. So 12 times before Alabama had been to that pinnacle. Now, for Nick Saban to go somewhere that Alabama football had never been would have been the three-peat, right? Didn't Bryant have one back-to-back? I think, maybe.
I think he had a couple.
Maybe. But
72, 73, 78, 79.
Yeah, so when you look at it, has Nate Oates done that? Or does it have to be the Final Four on the court? Just a question. Not what's satisfied, but is this program at a level that it's never been? And if you're out there right now, and both of you guys hang on to this question. Hang on to this question. Who's knocking on Nate Oates' door right now? Who's knocking on, not coaches, not universities, but players? Will Nate Oates be able to build off of this regardless of the run? Let's talk about it. We're still talking Alabama basketball, the undisputed SEC champs. Second time in 4 years, in only 4 years, and the second time in 2 out of the last 3 times. Regular season champs, tournament champs, most wins in program history, number 1 overall seed, first time number 1 period, but number 1 overall seed. And they're a young team with a superstar or 2. Has Nate Oates already reached a higher pinnacle than anyone, or does he have to do it in March Madness? We'll talk about it more right here on the Martin Houston Show. And your opinion, welcome in 205-342-9904.
This is a Town Square Media Tide 100.9 Sports Update.
I'm Kim Rankin with your Tide Sports Update. The Alabama Crimson Tide men's basketball team will take on Mississippi State on Friday in the quarterfinals of the 2023 SEC tournament. Alabama men's basketball players have partnered with Yay Alabama to release a pack of trading cards.
This has been a Town Square Media Tide 100.9 Sports Update. Run it again! For more info on these stories and more, download the Tide 100.9 app.
Hello, this is Martin Houston with the Martin Houston Show, and I want to tell you about one of our great sponsors, Overflow Express Wash. Their mission is to provide great customer service with a showroom clean car and an exceptional customer service experience. They have the basic car wash that starts at $7, but you need to check out the premium wash packages, which start as low as $12 and go up to $20. They also have a membership wash club that you can get for starting at $23.99, going up to $39.99. In other words, just double the regular premium package, drop a penny, and you can be one of the great members of Overflow Express Wash. My family and I keep our cars looking good inside and out by using Overflow Express Wash. They're located on Skyland Boulevard right next door to Alabama 1, or you can find them online at overflowexpresswash.com. Andy Phillips and his team look forward to making you a part of their team.
Experience a level of performance you've never seen in a tournament bass boat until now in your new Camus Bass Boat powered by Mercury. From Boatworks in Northport, the overall ride and performance of Camus CX line powered by Mercury is a true game changer. They've been able to remove the chine walk without compromising top-end speed or rough water handling capabilities. See the complete line of Camus CX model bass boats powered by Mercury at Boatworks, located in the old L&L Marine location on Highway 82 Rescue West in Northport, Tuscaloosa County Park and Recreation Authority is now hiring lifeguards for spring. Para will even train you. You can make $12 an hour. Apply at tcpara.org. Click on Discover an Employment. They are now hiring for Fawcett Brothers Center, Bobby Miller Center, Jerry Tingle Center, Bowers Park Pool and Freeman Pool. Learn to save lives. Again, apply at tcpara.org. That's tcpara.org for lifeguard jobs this spring.
People who come to Cricket stay with Cricket, just like our customer, Christine.
I'm a director and a performer. I got a free phone from Cricket, and I've used it to live stream 73 of my shows on social media.
How do you like it?
It's fabulous!
Switch to Cricket and get a free Samsung Galaxy A14 5G. Smile, you're on Cricket.
Real customer paid for testimonial, limited time. Must bring your number to Cricket on a $60 a month first month service charge and tax to its sale. Phone streams video and SD. Cricket 5G is not available everywhere. Fees, terms, and other restrictions apply. See cricketwireless.com for details.
What do you mean he went searching for fresher powder? We have full classes today.
Instructor down at Vesper Ski School.
Toward each other to snowplow, honey, not away.
She needs more ski instructors to slalom through the day-to-day.
Pizza, fries. Whoa, Braley, no, pizza.
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. We instantly connect you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Did you know Nissan EVs have traveled 8 billion miles? Just a quick trip to Pluto and back. And what did we learn along the way? Well, that an EV can take on the world, like the Nissan Leaf. It can move racing forward and take your breath away, like the all-new Nissan Ariya. We learned to make EVs that electrify. 8 billion miles driven by Leaf owners globally since 2010. 2023 Ariya has limited availability. All-wheel drive expected availability early 2023, subject to change.
Introducing Total by Verizon, a new prepaid wireless provider with no contract plans starting at just $30 a month. With Total by Verizon, you don't have to sacrifice reliability or freedom. Get Total by Verizon and save money every month on America's most reliable 5G network. Most reliable 5G based on most first-place rankings and Root Metrics first half 2022 assessments of 125 metros. Experiences vary, not an endorsement.
The sound of Bama sports. Your show, your team. The Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier, powered by MaX Sports. We're talking about, has Nate Oates reached new heights with this Alabama basketball program? And undeniably, yes, he has. When you look at the fact that this Alabama team is the number one overall seed, something that Alabama has never done. Alabama has never been a number one seed in general. So for the very first time, Alabama getting there as the number one overall seed and getting to pretty much play in their backyard in Birmingham. What does this really mean for the Alabama program and going forward? Not only does he have players knocking on his door, but he has other schools wanting him to be their head guy as well. So what are your opinions on Nate Oates taking this Alabama program to new heights?
Yeah, without a doubt, the program is definitely at new heights, somewhere it's never been, without a doubt. Has it matched Nick Saban in the first 4 years? In a lot of ways, yes. But ultimately, no one's going to remember this season unless we get to the Final Four. You know, this team reminds me of the Jalen Hurts team, the best defense ever, that lost by 1 second to Clemson and Deshaun Watson. People don't remember how good a team that really was anymore. They just remember that we came up short. So I think in terms of new heights, new programs, yes. In terms of matching, people are going to say no. The poll right now is showing 10% saying nothing he already has. And I feel in some ways, based on how you approach what I ask, he's already accomplished things that Nick Saban he's accomplished things in this program that's never been done. So he's beginning to set himself apart as, the GOAT of Alabama basketball. He has a ways to go, but he's beginning to set himself apart there. 9% said one win in the Final Four. 28% said just make the Final Four, and they would put him right beside Nick Saban. And 53% says that he has to win a national title to match what Nick Saban did. And I totally disagree with that sentiment. That to me, if he wins the national title, I didn't say surpass, I said match. If he wins the national title in 4 years with 2 SEC regular season championships, 2 tournament championships, and a natty in 4 years, he surpassed what Nick Saban did in the first 4 years. Your thoughts?
Oh, I agree with that wholeheartedly. When I look at it with the terms of basketball, everybody makes the big deal of the Final Four. It's kind of funny. You hear more about the teams that made the Final Four a lot of times than you hear who ends up being the eventual national champion. And so in basketball, making the Final Four, the road that it takes to get there, I think is just as impressive or more impressive than winning a national championship in football, honestly.
Yeah, just think, like I said, right now, this basketball program is where we hope Alabama ends up next year. Where Nate Oates has this program right now is the equivalent of an undefeated SEC season, regular season, and a win over Georgia in the SEC tournament game. That's where this program would sit if they did not have the typical basketball tournament. Best team in the country right now, if the College Football Playoff Selection Committee was picking the Final Four, Alabama would be the number 1 seed in a 14 playoff over the likes of Kansas, Purdue, and Houston. So just my thoughts there, but if he wins the natty, he surpassed what Nick Saban did, in my opinion. If he gets to the Final Four after this season, and then I'm saying you have to look forward and think, wow, if they only lose Brandon Miller, whatever this team does this year, you have to feel good about next year. And then, because they showed yesterday, we'll play without him. We'll play without him. Now, I don't think they could make a run this year. This team could make a deep run without him, but they showed that they could win when he's not on the court. And then, of course, they pulled away when he got back on the court. Let's get to Pat. Pat, you're in with the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier on the Alabama One Hotline. What's on your mind, sir?
Man, I thoroughly agree with you, Martin. That hey, last night I was watching a selection show, and Reese Davis summed it up when he was picking his Elite Eight, his Final Four, his national champion. He says, "We have Brandon Miller, and you don't."
Yeah. Yeah, one announcer said this. He said, one thing Alabama knows when they run out on the court, they have the best player no matter who they play. I thought, wow, they're going to have the best player on the court. Interesting. Yep. We haven't talked about this. How interesting is it that Brandon Miller did not make the final 15, but made the final cut in the Naismith Award? I mean, the Wooden Award.
Yeah. And, hey,
did you see that?
Josie showed you the prejudice of the media and how these liberal and let's go and we need to find a derogatory. We call them liberal rags back years ago, and now we need to find a derogatory term for these people that sit on a computer and spit out stuff that they don't know anything about. What would be a good derogatory term for a blogger or for these media people that are only wanting a clickbait? You're a millennial. What do you think?
Clickbaiter.
I mean, I think a great term is simply this. For people that do that type of stuff, we call, shock jocks, because that's what they're doing. They're trying to shock and they're trying to stir up emotional feelings instead of looking at the facts of the matter when they're writing these articles. And I know we've all seen the one guy, I'm not even gonna say his name, at AL.com that has been trying and trying and asking the question that he asked JQ about owning a weapon and all that stuff. It's kind of disgusting at this point with the narrative.
Whoever asked JQ that question should not be allowed to ask another question ever.
Well,
Pat,
I'm not buying it. I'm not buying anything else from AL.com. I'm done with them. They're dead to me.
Curtis Lewis said, "Call him a patty." He messing with you, I think. Blind Squirrel Sports said, "I called them AJCs." Hey, here's let me tell you what happened with the Wooden Award. Did anyone see a story where a reporter went up and actually talked to Brandon's godfather? Did either one of y'all see that?
No.
Okay, they went up and talked to his godfather, and I'm paraphrasing here. He said, "It's going to be interesting to see what's said when the dash cam video comes out and they go, so that's how it happened." I don't know what that means, except for the fact he seems to be insinuating, Pat, that there's dash cam that shows exactly what happened. But they haven't said it. I don't know if that's true or not. But as soon as that story broke, remember, it was in his hometown of Nashville. So there were some reporters that were smart enough to go do some actual reporting and went and talked to people who knew Brandon Miller growing up. And this guy, remember, the parents and Brandon have been on a gag order, whether we know that or not. They've not been able to say anything. Okay. But someone really close just said, when that footage comes out, or if that footage comes out, I don't know if it will or not, but it was enough that all of a sudden after that happened, he was all of a sudden back in the final 10. Just saying. Thanks, Pat. Appreciate it, man.
Have a blessed one, morning. Thank you.
Have a blessed one. All right, X, any thoughts on that? In terms of that story or not?
Yeah, I didn't know anything about that, but that is pretty interesting. But I mean, the media has built their narrative. They're saying what they're going to say. It's just kind of interesting how you see it with this, and then you look at, the Jalen Carter situation. Like, we don't know all the details, but nobody is jumping on he should be locked up, he should be this, he should be that, when he potentially was directly involved in actions that caused the staff member and a teammate to lose their lives. And then over the weekend, I don't know if you saw this, it came out that he wasn't arrested during the football season for going 89 and a 45 because the cop didn't want his name in it.
Hit the cop what?
The cop didn't want his name in the news for because 89 and a 45 I think is felony speeding, which you should get arrested for.
Probably.
And this was like back in September, and he completely was like, "Hey," and said it. He goes, "I'm not going to arrest you because I don't want your name in the news."
Yeah, and here's the thing: I'm not jumping on the Jalen Carter. I'm not going to dog him out either because I don't know the whole story. And ultimately, if he was racing, he was breaking the law. If that's against the law in Georgia, but at the same time, I can't put I can't put him at fault either. So I'm not going to say, well, they should be jumping on Jalen because I don't know the story there. I'm just saying that what they're doing with Brandon is wrong because the facts have come out in the Brandon Miller story, and they're still But let me tell you, that's because that's because Miller is one of the top players in the hottest part of the season. As soon as March Madness is over, X, and then we turn to the NFL, the Jalen Carter story will probably make its way back to the front of the news. So, the craziness of all of this is what it is. We're going to run straight on through and combine a couple breaks here. So let's do that. And with that thought process in mind, we're going to talk about this Alabama and right up until they tip off on Thursday, as they are the number one seed in Birmingham, number one overall seed in Birmingham. Not very good results in Birmingham for Nate Oates in those games that he's played there, but I think this team is just built different. If you saw what I saw, it looked like they began to trend up in the tournament. So good things ahead. As you look at the brackets, Alabama supposedly having the easiest route to get there. Do you agree with that or not? As they'll take on the winner of the 16 seed play-in game. Then they'll be faced with either Maryland or Virginia, two teams I think that they would definitely be favored in. But those two teams have not seen them play hardly in at all. But I did watch some shows last night. They showed some of the highlights and different things as they made comparisons. They're saying Maryland and West Virginia is of the type of team that has beaten Alabama. But did you think that Alabama, having played Mississippi State physical, Missouri physical, and A&M physical teams, those three teams, physical teams, may have helped prepare Alabama for how they're going to have to play against Maryland or West Virginia?
Yes, I think it did, in the way that they were able to do it, out rebounding all three teams. Even though there was a little bit of foul trouble, being able to learn and adapt as the game went along to how to play against that physicality is another bonus. Ben said a little bit last week that he'd be okay if we didn't win the SEC tournament. But, I know him and another one of the fellow interns, Will Miller, went up for the game yesterday. I just kind of wonder, Aiden, has your opinion changed any on that? I know your voice is a little raspy from it.
Yeah. That is a wonderful win to be up there for. It's just an incredible experience. That and the Tide fans really came out and did the team a service. That was practically a home crowd there in Bridgestone Arena.
And you could tell on television, Aiden.
I'm glad you could. You could certainly tell from where I was sitting. Will's dad copped us tickets right underneath one of the baskets. It was just, oh my God, it was incredible.
Hold on. Which end were you on? Were you on the end Alabama started on?
Yeah,
or
we were on the end with the Alabama marching band.
I don't know which one I'm saying. Was that the one we finished the game on, or the one we started the game on?
Yeah, we were attacking. Brandon Miller dunked right at us at the end of the game.
That's the play I was going to ask you, because on television, Aiden, you could see at about half court. I said he's going to dunk. At half court, you saw him. It's just that little body language, and I'm like, oh, he's going to take this all the way. And no one picked him up. And as a matter of fact, on television, it looked like they kind of moved out of the way because they did not want to get posterized. So
no, it was he kind of got this look on his face, like he shot a look over at somebody else on the court and just kind of smirked a little bit. And that's when Will Miller just like stuck his hand out and almost like, you're breaking really hard. And somebody like puts their hand across your chest, Yeah. And he was like, oh my God, he's going to do it. And then he did it.
Yeah, that was one of the most amazing dunks I've seen in Alabama. In that moment, it was really, 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 really special. one of the things we haven't talked about, and I'll circle back on this bracket thing tomorrow since it just popped into my head. Who told Brandon Miller, X, start following his shot? If this Alabama team, if all of the three-point shooters adopt that one thing, that one simple,
a lot.
The fundamentals of basketball when I was playing is you follow your shot, because the I don't know if it's geometry of basketball or what, but the science of basketball, if you shoot a ball correctly, the majority of the shots are going to come back back towards you if it doesn't go in. And over and over and over against Missouri, I kept saying, follow your shot. Follow your shot. Yesterday, Brandon followed his shot so many times and either got a rebound or tipped the ball, and we got another second chance shot. If Sears does it, if JQ does, if those guys follow those missed shots, we'll get half of those back on rebounds. It's fundamental basketball that no one does in today's game. And Brandon Miller took it to another level, and they actually acknowledged it. X, closing thoughts before we get out of here.
Man, it was a great weekend for Alabama sports, especially basketball. Cannot complain about the results, and excited to see what this Alabama team is able to do in the tournament.
Yeah, it's going to be a big conversation for Alabama. We'll add DC Capstone report to the conversation on tomorrow. Of course, you're always welcome to be a part of the conversation. And I want to remind you about a great sponsor. Part of Alabama One is the Alabama One Aspire Foundation. It's a full separate 501c3, but it's part of the Alabama One family. We're one together. We have a great golf tournament coming up, the One Community Golf Tournament 2023. Opportunity for you to sponsor, opportunity for you to put teams in that tournament. Last year, an unbelievable event. A portion of every dollar helps support financial wellness in our schools, starting in West Alabama and spreading throughout the state. Go to alabamaonefoundation.org and find out how you can get a team in the tournament, and also how your organization can get a tax write-off by sponsoring the Alabama One Community Golf Tournament. Remember this: trust in the Lord always. Lean not in your own understanding. All your ways acknowledge him, and he will direct your paths. Roll Tide out there, everybody. We'll catch you on tomorrow.
We go celebrate and have a good time.
Here's what's trending on the Tuscaloosa thread.
Good Monday morning. Temperatures will be near or below freezing across much of central Alabama tonight and tomorrow.